Nigeria's ruling party, the All Progressive Congress, has announced former Akwa Ibom State Governor and former Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Godswill Akpabio, as its candidate for the Senate Presidency. The party made the announcement on Monday as the National Assembly prepares to choose its 10th set of leaders. Tajudeen Abbas, representing Zaria Federal Constituency of Kaduna State, has also been nominated for the Speaker of Nigeria's lower chambers, the House of Representatives. Akpabio from the South and Abbass from the northwestern parts of the country sees the party aptly zoning in its choices. Despite the APC's public choice, the Senate presidency is expected to be keenly contested between Akpabio and other interested aspirants. Jibrin, representing Kano North, also in the northwest, was announced as the party's choice for Deputy Senate Presidency, while Benjamin Kalu from Bende Federal Constituency, Abia State, was announced as the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. Today on Politics HQ, we'll take a look at these choices and what it means for the governing All Progressive Congress in Nigeria. Now, joining me to dissect this is Dr. Felix Morka, the National Publicity Secretary of the All Progressive Congress. Thank you very much for joining me on Politics Headquarters tonight, Dr. Felix Morka.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, I'd like to start with this. What's the rationale behind the APC's decision to adopt a zoning arrangement for the 10th National Assembly? And how does it reflect the party's commitment to inclusive and equitable governance?
That's exactly the reason we have consulted very widely amongst our leaders and stakeholders and members, and even some of the, if not all, the aspirants to the offices of presiding officers of the 10th Assembly. You know, we are a political party, and for our, elected officials, the elected National Assembly members who ran on our platform and were elected on our platform, they are members of our party, and we're very proud of. And as a political party, we have an interest in the presidential arm of government. We have an interest in the legislative arm of government. The judiciary is a bit, somewhat on its own. But because these two branches are, elected on the platform of the party, we have a legitimate interest to be involved in guiding, in offering recommendations as to how the process of leadership is done. Because keep in mind that this is critical to the fullness, the full operation, if you will, of the government, the presidential and the legislature. Now, it's important for us as Nigerians to have both arms of government work collaboratively so that they can get work done. So they don't spend all the time bickering and fussing and quarreling and, just making, wasting time and resources.
Now, Dr. Morka, sorry to interrupt you there. Where does the principle of separation of powers come in, and how will these lawmakers be able to perform their oversight functions if the executive, the person of the president-elect, is involved and instrumental in who emerges as principal officers of this 10th Assembly?
No, please. The president-elect does not have a vote when decisions are made as to who actually emerges.
But is influencing
officers of the National Assembly.
But is influential to who emerges and this consensus candidates?
No, see, look, a political party, just like you and I, as individuals, we have every right to, get involved in the process and express our preference of one zone or the other, or even of one candidate or the other. I mean, these are inalienable rights that people have. And because we're a political party, it doesn't take away my right as Felix Morka to weigh in on my own or to speak freely, to say, you know what, I prefer that this office goes to this zone or this office goes to that individual. I have every right to do that. And a political party is an aggregation of individuals within society. So you cannot, say, look, because we talk about And by the way, separation of powers does not mean that the executive branch does not have an interest or does not care or should not care about what goes on in the legislative branch. That's a false understanding of the meaning of separation of powers. The separation of powers doctrine simply, stipulates that each arm of government should be able to freely determine its own will and set its own agenda and set its own course and take decisions that is not heavily, dictated or influenced by other arms of government. That's what it means. It doesn't mean that people in the other branches
they don't necessarily have to antagonize themselves.
No, just to finish, these elected officials actually voted for the president of the Federal Republic, just like the president himself also cast his vote for members in his own district. So look, let's not create a false dichotomy that doesn't exist.
Now, Dr. Morka, what was the process for conducting consultations and meetings with the president-elect and other stakeholders on the zoning arrangement? In your opinion, were these consultations wide enough? And did the party ensure that all voices were heard and considered? I remember you said this in your opening statement, but there's a reason why I'm asking this question.
The line is not very clear, but if I understand you clearly...
Was the consultation process wide enough? And you did mention that all the candidates were consulted.
The consultation process is an unfinished business. It's continuing. As even the statement that I gave announcing this, zoning was very clear that further and better consultations continue and will continue until the day of the inauguration, the election and inauguration of these presiding officers. So, we have not closed consultation. It is, in fact, it has intensified. Now that the party has come out to indicate, by the way, let me say this, preemptorily. You must understand that the party is interested in ensuring that the leadership of the National Assembly reflects some, level of balance and equity, amongst all of the geopolitical zones in our country. That's our singular interest. We're not really that much preoccupied with, who really gets what or what. It's more about making sure that every zone has a sense of ownership of the incoming 10th Assembly, and that, as a party, we're a part of that. Because if anything goes wrong, I will also come on this show to answer questions as to why APC permitted for things to go wrong. You will necessarily ask that question. So, we are trying to also stave off any prospect of difficulty. But having said that, let me make very clear that people should not misunderstand what we have done as a party. And by the way, this is something that's done not just in Nigeria, but in so many countries where the party weighs in on some of these, issues of where does, things go. But keep in mind that we have a responsibility to Nigerians as the political party to ensure that every section of this country feels like, their case has been heard and that their interest has also been protected. Because unless you do that, you won't have the kind of unity that we all aspire to and that necessarily we need right now, especially.
Now, talking about unity, Dr. Morka, it appears there's no united front in your party with regards to this zoning, because 5 ranking APC lawmakers would also declare their intention for this position, said on Monday that they would work together to challenge their party's candidate. The current Deputy Speaker, Idris Wase, said 5 of the aspirants have resolved to work together to oppose the APC's consensus candidate. He listed the 5 to include himself, Mr. Batara, Saada Soli, Al-Hassan Dogua, and Ahmed Jaji. What steps should your party, the All Progressive Congress, take to ensure that all aspirants to National Assembly leadership positions feel heard and valued? And how is the party working to build consensus around the chosen candidates?
That's our key objective here. We, as I said, consultations are continuing. We've consulted with and continue to engage with some of our loyal and eminent party men and perhaps women that you mentioned. and we're not there yet. Don't forget, we have over 30 days between now and the inauguration of the 10th Assembly. So there's plenty of time for this engagement to continue. Look, we have respect for every party men, women who are aspiring, and they have a right to aspire. The Constitution gives them the right to aspire. You can't take that from them. And the party does not seek to deny them this fundamental right to aspire to leadership of the National Assembly. All we are saying is that as a party, we are looking at the big picture and see how we can, if you will, organize this process in a way that produces the best outcome that is inclusive, outcome that is equitable, outcome that enables every section of this country to feel like their interest is being taken into account. That's the party's interest. Otherwise, we're happy to stay back and watch the process unfold, and wherever it goes, it goes. But furthermore, I think that we must also appreciate that governance is not a walk in the park. Governance is not just, it's not a tea party. From the presidency to the legislature to the judiciary, we require some level, yes, of independence, of autonomy, but some level of collaboration. And without collaboration, you can't get things done for Nigerians. Because if Nigerians, at the end of the day, have a presidency and a legislature and a judiciary that's at war with themselves, in that war, as they say, when elephants fight, the grass suffers.
Yes.
We do not want Nigerians to suffer. We are interested in making sure that these arms of government actually, focus on the priorities of the people.
Now, Dr. Felix Morka, I appreciate the fact that you talked and acknowledged the fact that, these consultations are ongoing, even up until inauguration day. There's a saying that a house divided in itself cannot stand. Let's look at the numbers now in the National Assembly. In the House of Representatives, to be specific, the APC has 177 elected members, while the opposition parties have 181. The current situation bears similarities with the 8th Assembly, where Yakubu Dogara and Yusuf Larson teamed up with the opposition in 2015 and won against the anointed candidate, Femi Gbajabiamila and Mohammed Monguno. What should the APC do to ensure this situation doesn't repeat itself in the 10th Assembly?
Consultation, engagement, more consultation, more engagement. Look, everyone in APC, from the national chairman of our party, His Excellency Senator Abdullah Adamu, to the president-elect, and to all the eminent leaders of our party, no one is taking this lightly. As we speak, there are meetings and consultations taking place with, so many of these aspirants and other leaders and stakeholders. It is happening everywhere. We are taking this seriously. We understand that those individuals, members of our party, who seek to vie for these offices, all have a right to do so. But we say that national interest sometimes must trump personal aspiration and ambition. Because, for example, there are delicate issues that we need to balance, not just of regional sensitivity or sensibility. We also need to balance other ethnic, religious, sensibilities. And the party is in a better place to see the big picture and to recommend a way to ensure that, at the end of the day, we have a win-win situation for everybody. But sometimes you must also agree that, personal aspiration can be blinding. Some people, with due respect, who are committed to their own project, legitimately so, and with, like I said, with valid constitutional, claim to those aspirations, may sometimes, have a blind spot when it comes to national interests. Now, our job as the party is to, I think, score that position where national interest trumps even personal aspirations. But we do so with persuasion. We do so with consultation, with engagement, with some level of humility, quite frankly. So, some of our colleagues out there, my brothers who are in the party, I think that at the end of the day, I have confidence that our president-elect and our national chairman and the national working committee of our party and all of the leaders, men and women of goodwill, will prevail on some of our colleagues to stand down and allow for some negotiated outcome in a way that does not yield or become vulnerable to the figures that you gave earlier about APC's
Yes.
majority in relation to the totality of the opposition. But also don't forget that so many people in the opposition will ride with the APC. So,
and that brings me to this question.
It's about the quality of engagement.
That brings me to this question, Dr. Morka, talking about the quality of engagement. I haven't looked at the APC side. I want us to also look at the other side of the aisle, the opposition lawmakers that have called themselves the greater majority. These lawmakers elected, drawn from the 7 minority parties. And in a statement on Monday, they said they would use their numerical strength to produce the presiding officers of the House. The parties are the People's Democratic Party, Labour Party, New Nigeria's People's Party, the All Progressive Grand Alliance, Social Democratic Party, African Democratic Congress, and the Young Progressive Party. All of them have members elect in the House of Representatives, a tally of 183 as against the APC's total tally of 177. They have the numerical strength as opposed to the APC. So is the APC going to reach out to the opposition across the aisle to get its way? And are there consultations going on? And what's the guarantee that APC would likely produce the presiding officers if you don't have the majority of representatives?
No, we can assume that because people are in the opposition, therefore they must ride or die with the opposition. I think that there are many members of the National Assembly elect who are members of the opposition parties, but who are reasonable, who are statesmen and women, who are, I think, forward-looking in terms of the national interest. So, many of these people within the opposition parties are going to go with the majority party. I mean, there's no question about that. You don't have any such thing as a completely cohesive, monolithic opposition. Opposition is about self-interest. Everybody in that sector is all about the self-interest. If they believe that riding with the majority party, the APC, is in the best interest of their constituents, because don't forget that after all said and done, after the inauguration is done, we have, again, 3 arms of government. You have the executive branch, you have the legislative branch, and the judiciary. But between the legislative and the executive branch, there is, supposed to be, and naturally will be, a scope of, openness, of collaboration. So some of the people in the opposition are mindful that they can't really even totally succeed without, some help from the, executive branch.
Because there's 7 different parties.
Let me finish. Just like the executive branch also realizes that they need the legislature to succeed. So our consultation is transcendental. We're not just restricting our engagement to members elect, of the APC stock. We're also, of course, reaching out to the reasonable, members, those of them who we believe have this national outlook, who understand that this is a very, precarious moment for this country, and that statesmen are called upon to come out, stand to be counted on the side of doing what is right and what is best for unity and for national cohesion.
You did mention that in making decisions, the National Working Committee did consider, geographical spread, some level of fairness and equity. But APC members in the Southeast that have shown their interest in being Senate President feel aggrieved. So what are the potential consequences of ignoring the Southeast and the zoning arrangement for the position of Senate President? How can the party address these concerns to ensure national unity and stability? I understand that Gbenga was nominated as Deputy Speaker, consensus candidate. But is it enough for APC members in the Southeast?
We value our members in the Southeast as much and as we value our members in the South, in the Northwest, in the Northeast, in the Southwest, and all the regions of our country. We believe that, these are Nigerians, and we all are Nigerians, and there's no one who's superior to the other. We are all equal. We're co-equal citizens of this country. Now, I think that, the claim or the argument that the Southeast deserves to have the office of the Senate, president, is also an argument that is valid with respect to South-South, valid with respect to the, other regions of the matter. But that's exactly the point why the National Working Committee of the APC, in consultation, of course, with all of our leaders, including the president-elect and all the other stakeholders, is, really putting all of the information on the table, on the board, and actually trying to make the very best decisions that we think will sustain our unity and promote reconciliation in the country. Look, every region has a right to make this argument, and a claim to Senate presidency. But, but comparatively, if you really look at the record, the Southeast has produced Senate president. We've had a Werem, we've had Okadibo, we've had Pius Ayim, we've had Adolphus Wabara, we've had Ken Namani. That's about 5 or so eminent citizens who have, had the privilege to lead the, Senate of the National Assembly. But, the South-South, we have a current Deputy President of the Senate in the person of His Excellency Senator Ovie Omagege from Delta State, from that region. But other than that, we have never in the South-South had a Senate president. So, look, the fact is that, yes, the argument of the Southeasterners, may be valid. But, also the argument of the people in the South-South is also valid. It's not about the relative validity of the arguments. I think that we are just interested in making sure that, every region gets to have a fair share of, leadership of the country. Now, don't forget, and let me say this, if you will, if you permit me.
Yes.
Don't forget that the National Assembly positions is just, one part of it. Once the new president, the president-elect is inaugurated, there are also opportunities and positions in the executive branch that will become available to also hopefully follow the federal character and allocate to, our different regions. So, let's really not think that this is the end of it. It's not the end of it. It's just the beginning. There's so many other opportunities that are available that I believe the president-elect, who has demonstrated his love for this country, his pan-Nigerian perspective of this country, even as governor, who had Muslims and people from other regions, other ethnic groups in his government, who is a veteran pro-democracy, activist. I think that he knows exactly what really is at stake in this moment. He is a man who is completely intuitive to the sensibilities of today and the urgency of now. I have no doubt that he will also leverage on all the opportunities his new office will present in making appointments to ensure that there's, some level of equity. So I think our dear compatriots in the Northeast, my urge is that we just be patient and await, further decisions by the incoming president.
Now, Dr. Felix Morka, before we wrap up this conversation, earlier today, the Supreme Court of Nigeria affirmed Senator Ademola Adeleke as the rightful governor of Osun State against the APC's Gbenga Oyetola. What's your reaction to the judgment?
First, permit me to congratulate the governor of Osun State, Governor Adeleke, on his victory at the Supreme Court. We congratulate him as a party, and the Supreme Court is the highest court of the land. This matter is done, is decided, and Governor Adeleke will continue to serve as governor of Osun State. We wish him well in his tenure, in his tour of duty as governor. But having said that, please let me quickly just reference a press conference that was given by the National Publicity Secretary of the PDP.
If you can in less than a minute, I would appreciate, because we'll fast run out of time.
I will. I'll try to be. In which he completely lampooned the judiciary, he argued and submitted that the APC had totally compromised the judiciary. Now, a decision today by the Supreme Court came down in favor of the PDP. Now, what has Labour, got to say about that? If the APC had the court in its pocket, how come this decision? You see, look, we must give our judicial system the respect it deserves. These judges work hard every day to do justice. So coming on national television to simply insult their integrity is unacceptable. And I take very strong exception to that. And so as a party, we stand with the judiciary, even when we have just been handed an unpleasant decision in Osun State. We accept it
and respect it.
And I think that the opposition must also accept any verdict from the judiciary that is also in our favor or against them, as the case may be. That's the nature of our democracy, and we all should embrace it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Felix Morka, National Publicity Secretary of the ruling All Progressive Congress. Thanks for taking time out to talk to us on Politics HQ. We do appreciate your insights and your contribution to the program. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Felix Morka, National Publicity Secretary, All Progressive Congress. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll be looking at the situation in Osun State, where the Supreme Court today affirmed Senator Ademola Adeleke as the governor of Osun State. We'll be right back after this quick timeout.